Christian Life Center family. It says Morgan here. I am the connections coordinator, and today we're going to continue reading in John. I'm going to be reading from John chapter 18 and then a bit from John chapter 21. So John chapter 18 we're going through, this is when Jesus has finished praying and he left with his disciples and when he's betrayed by Judas. So the guards come up, Judas betrays him. And then this is when Peter infamously cuts off the high priest servant's ear. And we see Jesus commanded Peter, "Put your sword away. Shall I not drink the cup the Father has given me?" I think it's really easy to judge Peter there, but I feel like if I was there with him, I'd have probably been like trying to cut somebody's ear off too. And it's so cool to see how God uses someone who's so imperfect to build his church on, like Peter, who was so passionate about saving Jesus that he cuts off a guy's ear. And then right below in verse 15, still John 18, verse 15, we see him denying Christ. So first he's so passionate he cuts off someone's ear, then he goes and stood with the other servants while Jesus was being questioned, and they're like, "Are you with him?" And he's like, "I don't know him. So it's very interesting how he goes from one emotion, or like from one passion to the other. Then again, we keep reading. They are like, "You're one of his disciples," and he's still like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." And I think seeing the redemption that Peter has is super powerful, because I know in my own life, and I'm sure in some of yours, there's moments where we're like, "Yeah, I'm so passionate. I love Jesus. And then a couple minutes later, different context, you're like, "No, I don't know him. I just don't know him." Maybe not to the extent of Peter, but I don't know if any of us have been in that kind of pressure. So the Jewish leaders, they take him before Pilate. And they're like, kill him, crucify him. And Pilate's like, "Aren't you supposed to take that? You should do it." And they're like, "No, you do it." So they're like, Pilate asked Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews? Are you the king of the Jews?" He's like, "How do you know?" So in verse 38, we see some really... let's read from verse 36. Jesus says, speaking to Pilate, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish leaders. But now my kingdom is from another place." "You are a king then," said Pilate. Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into this world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." "What is the truth?" retorted Pilate. With this, he went out again to the Jews gathered there and said, "I find no basis for a charge against him, but it is your custom for me to release to you one prisoner at the time of Passover. Do you want me to release the king of the Jews?" And this is when the people shouted back, "No, not him. Give us Barabbas." Now Barabbas had taken part in an uprising. So I just think that's really so powerful that Jesus, innocent, and then this man, Barabbas, who has murdered, done bad things, they're like, "No, give us him back. We want him instead," just because they hated Jesus so much. I just can't. I wonder what it felt like to be Barabbas in that time, being let free while another man died for you. And that's literally where all Barabbas's innocence, because Jesus does take our place and dies for us in the sins that we've committed. And it's so powerful to think, like, wow, there really was a person there who got to keep his life while Jesus laid down his for their life. So that's just really powerful to me, and amazing to really think about and really contemplate when it comes up here at Easter and celebrating Christ's death and resurrection. Now we're going to look at Christ reinstating Peter after he has denied him. So, when they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," he said. You know that I love you." And Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." Again, Jesus said, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And he answered, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And Jesus said, "Take care of my sheep." The third time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt because Jesus had asked him the third time, "Do you love me?" And he said, "Lord, you know all these things. You know that I love you." And Jesus said, "Feed my sheep. Very truly I tell you, when you were younger, you dressed yourself and went where you wanted, but when you are old, you will stretch out your hands and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go." Jesus said this to indicate the kind of death by which Peter would glorify God. Then he said to him, "Follow me." So, I think I am so thankful that we serve a God that not only would give his son, and Jesus would give his life for us to save us from an eternity without him, but we also see just his grace and forgiveness to Peter after Peter just denied him and left him hanging. He'd really been a bad friend, and I know if I was Jesus, I wouldn't want to forgive Peter. Just thinking about if my own friends had done that, to let me die and then to say, "Oh, you love me?" So I'm so thankful that he loves us enough to do that, and that's really powerful, especially when we can be so unfaithful in our walks, just because we're human and we make mistakes. So it's powerful to know that we have a God that loves us enough to forgive us even when we deny and betray him.